What up? What up?
Oh, hey. Oh, hey.
Like and subscribe. No, I'm just kidding.
Exactly.
Okay, so I'm really
smash that button. Is that what they say? Just
I don't know.
Smash that subscribe button. Pound that like button. Do I sound old? Because I feel
Does
old.
anyone say that?
I'm sure. I've heard smash that like button before. Have you not?
No, but smash it up, blow it up. Okay, anyway, I'm Alana. I am one half of Loomier, and I'm so excited. I have Peggy Dean here with me, and we are going to talk all about self-publishing, working with a literary agent, how to get started if you want to write a book and get your book out into the world. So Peggy, why don't you do just a quick introduction of who you are, the 800 books that you have, and introduce anyone to you that maybe hasn't heard of you before.
Okay, I'm gonna nutshell this. I'm real bad every time. Peggy Dean, hi. I am a self-taught artist and passionate educator, and that is what drove me to write some books. Hurdles, yes. Success, definitely. 7 books. I have 6, 1 on the way. Exciting stuff. It's really neat. There's my
Great. 7 books. 7 books is a lot of books. And actually you have I don't know if you still have it up, but you had a Skillshare class about your first book and how you did it on Amazon. I think it was called Create Space back in the day.
It was. And now it's KDP, which is Kindle Direct Publishing.
It's funny because I call it KPD and I have been for a long time.
Publishing Direct,
whatever.
RGB and RBG. That's my mess up.
Yeah, I think people call that dyslexia for both of us. So,
but the thing is, I don't have it at all. I just don't remember if it's blue or green that comes first. I'm like, is it blue or is it green?
Where'd you live?
And then there's Ruth Bader Ginsburg. That's what really throws me.
That's, you know what, it's not dyslexia, it's Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
But is it the same order? It's RGB and then RBG, right?
Correct. Ruth Bader.
I got it. Yeah. I got my problem. I've identified the issue.
Great. Sure. It will never happen again. It's fine. It's not a big deal. Anyway, you self-published your first book, and obviously that took you down a long path. Now you have almost 7, 6.5, 6 3/4. So what drove you to create your first book? Like, what was that process like? Were you like, I'm just going to write a book and figure out how, or was there someone else did it? You saw them and you were like, I could do that too.
No. Okay. So I don't know what it is. Everybody's got like a bucket list, right? And you write stuff down on the bucket list and then you want to do the bucket list. And I'm such like, it's so up my alley to do that. I love vision boards. I love scrapbooks. I love the idea of a bucket list. And I kid you not, to this day, the only thing that has ever been on my bucket list, whether I've tried to write it down in a journal or put it in notes app or whatever, has only been publish a book. That was it.
Well, I think you've done it. Congratulations.
Right. My thank yous. But yeah, so I just want to, I don't know if you're going to ask me this, but I'm going to answer it or just tell you a story. The thing that I struggled with was I really, really wanted to. I was working at, I did hair and makeup. I was also working at a waxing bar, if you will, you know, waxing brows.
Yeah.
Body hair. It was fun. I was an esthetician.
Say body hair again.
Body hair. Body hair. Wherever you want it, keep it. Wherever you want it to go. If you're lazy like me, neat. But no, I loved it. But in between clients, I was just like, gosh, you know, I'm just going to start. I'm just going to start doing this because I had started teaching already and I had so much fun doing it. I was lettering, brush lettering, modern calligraphy, and I was creating practice guides and selling them on Etsy while in tandem with my classes. And I'm like, all this stuff could go in a book. And there wasn't anything at the time other than, I mean, not mainstream anyway, except for like traditional calligraphy, all of the terms that go along with that. So as a self-taught person, I was like, oh, I've got this in the bag. I know how I learn. So I know this is going to help people. Like I've seen it happen already. Why not in a book? So I started writing this book and was really pleased with myself. And I'll tell you this, as I was pleased with myself, I was making a lot of mistakes, like a lot that I did not find out until later. I thought it would be so cutesy for me to handwrite the entire book. Like,
oh, I thought that too.
Yeah. And it's not because
cute.
people can't read it because guess what? It's not cohesive because it's not a font. So
well, also, who has time for that?
I mean, I did the whole thing. I did it.
Yeah. I mean, that was my goal when I first wrote my book. And then my publishers were like, you know, it's actually like, you're going to have a lot of text. So it should be typed. And I was like, oh, yeah. And also that would take me years.
So it takes a long time. Yeah, for sure. And then no matter how well you do at it, it's inevitably going to be difficult to read because it's not a cohesive, like our brains pick up fonts because they're patterns, you know?
Right.
So that was something that I learned later, but beside the point, I pitched to publishers. I thought I did a really good job with pitches. I didn't know how to do a pitch. So I just kind of, you know, threw out, I'm just really bold, if you will, because I'm like, you're going to say nothing or you're going to say no and nothing changes. So
right.
I pitched and I actually got a lot of interest, but these people were worried about future competitive titles that were under their umbrella that they were working on. I don't know what they were. They just said, you know, we're working on something similar. What if we did something like XYZ, but stubborn Peggy over here, instead of taking that other avenue, I'm like, no, I'm really married to this book idea. And after getting a gigantic handful of no's or no responses, I started looking into doing it myself because I'm like, you know what? I'm going to like, I don't need your yes about this. So what were you going to say?
I think two things you just said are like such little gold mines is I don't need your, the first thing you said was that a lot of people didn't respond. Like that is so normal.
Yeah.
Like it just happens. Like it's going to happen. People are busy. It's not an offense thing. It's not personal. You're going to get ghosted. It's going to happen. It's like dating.
It's worse than dating.
Yeah. Okay. And then the other thing you said was like, I don't need your no. I think that's so important because one of the things that happens when you work with a publisher is that you could lose track of your original idea. And so if that is important to you, you either have to be prepared to stand up. And I didn't personally have this. I was on the same page as my publishers. I feel really fortunate for that. But you have to be ready to either advocate for yourself or say no, even though it is your bucket list. Because the thing is, nowadays, self-publishing is an amazing option. Like it doesn't give less value to your book. It actually could potentially give more, but like there's just so many options and there's just not one right way. So I love that even though you were stubborn and you were like, this is a huge goal, you were like, I'm not going to sacrifice what I really want just because it's a book deal.
Right. Yeah. And, you know, in hindsight, I'm happy I did it the way that I did it. I would change a few things, of course. But yeah, I think it's really important that people know that like no is going to happen, no matter if it's a book deal, no matter if it's like licensing or working with any brands or networking, whatever it is, like no is actually less common than no response at all. So those two things are going to happen. Just a quick aside, what I always tell people, if I get a no, is I put them in a folder. If I want to work with them bad enough, I will put them in a folder that tells me I'm going to reach out to them in 6 months. Because guess what? Like it's been 6 months. Their no doesn't exist anymore because they're doing something totally new on their side.
They might not even remember.
Yeah, they might not remember. It might be suddenly the right time because you don't know like their structure, their goals for their quarter or whatever, their deadlines or like their word that I'm looking for. You don't know what their target is, right, which is going to constantly evolve or change or pivot. So I don't believe in no. I say like, and it's just worked for me. The follow-up is so important, but regardless, I ended up self-publishing. My quick story in a nutshell of this part was that I made the mistake of waiting to announce that I had a book coming out until right before. And I liked that I did that. It drove a ton of exciting engagement and sales. But the problem was we got hit with a snowstorm, an ice and snowstorm, and I didn't get my copy until after I had to put it public. I had not previewed the book in hand. And when I finally got it and I knew other people had been getting it, I kid you not, my heart sank all the way. I think it came right out my butt. Like I was not okay.
What happened?
It was horrible quality, terrible.
Oh my
and
gosh.
At that point, I was just like, I mean, and it works for some books, like it works for a novel or, you know, I did it for botanical line drawing and it was no problem. But for this lettering book, botanical line drawing is my second book after Ultimate Brush Lettering Guide. It was just terrible. And if you look at reviews on Amazon, like those initial reviews are still there and the pictures are still there and the complaints are still there. And you know, I took a hard hit for it, but I felt it first before those reviews came in. And I was just like, oh no. And so mistake was that maybe don't be so quick with the turnaround and make sure your quality is there. And I know that there are a lot of different avenues to take when it comes to self-publishing, but the cost is a huge factor because, you know, if you print in black and white, I'll just be totally transparent with costs because I like to. It was like $350-ish or something. And then the fulfillment or whatever was another $3-ish something. So I was making like $12-ish, maybe $14, but I don't even remember, a book, which is a huge amount. Like that is a big number when it comes to an author receiving money, because
yeah, that's huge.
If you're with a publisher, you're going to make $1 a book, if that, like something around there, 75 cents a book, $1 a book, something like, you know,
you'll probably sell more, you'll potentially sell more copies if you're working with a publisher,
right?
But you're going to have to.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So
it's
and
kind of like,
there's a lot of packaging and quality and market, like the team and the editor, like there's a lot, you know, I found typos later, I guess, written, whatever. So I had
who doesn't
you know,
find typos?
Yeah. So I don't know where this stemmed from, but I think that this story is important just for the sake of, there's a lot of things I changed after that. I re-released a second version that had text. Eventually that book was actually purchased from a publisher. Oh, that's something I wanted to mention though, real quick, just to like really boost everybody. If you have an idea and you think it's good, even if you're receiving no's, 1 week later, 1 week after it was published, 1 week, I was inundated in my inbox from publishers wanting to pick up the book and distribute it publicly, you know, in the world. And I was like, you know, at this point, I see those numbers too. And
yeah,
I'm good and I don't need you. So
I love this part of your story so much, but I also really love how you said inundated. You say it like a very proper person, and I have said it like an upstate New York.
Now I don't even remember how I said it or if I even used it correctly.
No, I'm pretty sure you did, but I think it's just East and West Coast over here. But anyway, so this was my favorite part of your story, and I'm so glad you're getting to it because, yeah, like, sure, it feels really good to have a publisher be like, hey, like, we want to publish this, but you're kind of like, too little too late. Like, I'm making way more than
like, yeah, I mean, I was like, am I going to be rich? Like, I think I'm going to be rich. You guys, I'm not rich, but like, you know what I mean?
Your book did well. It was well received. It was well received enough for people to say, hey, we would publish this. And it's like, well, I already offered it to you, and like, shame on you. And it's funny you say this because when I first reached out to a literary agent, when I pitched my book, I have 2 books. And when I pitched them, my first one, I pitched to a literary agent, and they basically were like, you are not famous enough for us. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that was a requirement.
Did they use the word famous?
They didn't use the word famous, but they were basically like, they said something like, you don't have enough followers, like you don't have enough, you're not an industry, like, you know, celebrity, you know, like an internet celebrity. And I was like, you just wait, lady. And sure enough, my book's been an Amazon bestseller, and I'm super proud of it. You know, I am still not a celebrity, but I, you know, think I offered some value in my book, and it feels kind of good to be like, sucks for you.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That makes, I know you've told me this before, and every time I hear it, I just can't wrap my mind around it, especially because I have met a lot of authors through their books. I learned of you because of your book. Like, I didn't know Ilana Griffo, and now it's like Ilana Griffo's a household name. Hey,
that's it. I am now a household name. No, but it's just, that's what worked for that publisher. She worked with agent. She worked with a very specific group of people and helped them become authors. You know, she wasn't working necessarily with authors. And I appreciate that. That is totally fine. That makes sense. But it's just so funny, looking back, like, anyone who's out there who wants to write a story, like you have a story to tell. You know, you're going to get no's, but make sure you're staying true to, like, I know it sounds like a little bit woo-woo, but like stay true to yourself. Like find a way to put your book out there if you truly believe in it. You know, don't get discouraged when you get several no's. Like that's just going to happen. You have to find the right person. It's not just any person, it's the right person. Okay, so people came to you and they were like, wait, we want to publish it. You were like, I think I'm good. So then what happened after that?
Well, I kept it at that. I got inquiries, you know, throughout the year, and I kept it. It actually made it, I'm pretty stubborn as is, which isn't necessarily a good thing. I will be honest, like it's not. And I've learned over time that it actually is, there's a time and a place for sure to bring on help, to bring on a team, to work with people. And I've been humbled a lot, but I'm still really stubborn. Like it's just my nature. It's why I can't work for people. But a year and a half in, a boutique publisher. Okay, so in this time, I had learned that I prefer the idea of boutique publishers that work under a bigger umbrella of like the main, you know, brand name publishers.
Right.
And a boutique publisher reached out that was under the name brand, the brand name, there we go, of the publisher that was my dream publisher, which was Penguin Random House, which they, at the time, I don't know if they do now, but they don't take unsolicited pitches. So I never pitched to them.
Okay.
And I think that because of that, they were even more desirable to me because I'm like, oh, I can't even try. And then they came and pitched me a year and a half in. So at that point, my sales had already peaked. Like I got, you know, that big bulk out of the way, if you will, of people who were in my corner, who were following my journey and also wanted to learn from me. And then at that point, it was like, oh, well, at this point, distribution would really help, better packaging of these books. And maybe the people who have used up their books, but, you know, maybe want to get a refresh or like something that is in the new packaging, that would be cool.
Right.
So we worked together and they repackaged, we did a 3-book deal. We repackaged the Ultimate Brush Lettering Guide, Botanical Line Drawing. And then we worked on a new book, which was my most recent release 2 years ago. I can't believe it's been that long. I said I would never write another book again. And here we go. Which is Peggy's Guide to Nature Drawing and Watercolor. And so that one, it's funny because I thought that nothing would ever touch my first book, but nature drawing and watercolor is like my baby. Like that's my baby.
Isn't it so funny when you write a book and you're like, nothing will ever be better than this. I'll never do another one. I'll never make anything better than this. And then sure enough, as the creative individual or creative entrepreneur, you're like, oh shit, that's what I do is I make creative work. So I'm just going to think about, like, it always feels like that when you're in the moment. This is the best product I've ever done. And we forget, like, we're going to get better and better with time. We're like a good wine, which I don't know anything about wine. So
it's a phrase and people know what it means.
Okay, good. Because I was going to say we're like blue cheese. Like, does blue cheese just get better?
I don't think that could be possible.
No. Okay.
I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. I'm not a cheese person either, but the idea of like.
You are not?
Well, no, I know, I love cheese. I'm just saying I don't know anything about it. I just eat it and I'm like, yes to this taste, no to that taste for sure. Yeah. Okay, this is random, but what is your cheese preference if you were like, I'm going to have a sandwich?
Well, cheese preference, if I was going to have any cheese, would be a goat cheese brie.
Of course.
But on a sandwich,
right?
I mean, I'm going to get some judgment here.
Are you going to say American cheese? No, you're not.
Listen, I have children, so you know.
Is it the kind that's like individually wrapped?
Yes. Wait. But that's like if I'm making it at home. But Havarti on with anything. If I'm gonna like, you know, be a little fancy. Honestly, I will eat any cheese.
I'm a sharp cheddar. I love a sharp cheddar.
Yes, sharp cheddar is great.
On a sandwich. Great.
I lived in Vermont for some time. And, you know, that's like the home of Cabot, I think. So lots of good cheese there. I should have said Wisconsin. But I think that's the real cheese state.
Well, I live in Oregon and we've got Tillamook Cheese Factory, just, you know, 40 minutes.
Just around the river bend.
So they have little samples. I don't know about COVID times, but they have little samples.
You drive there, you get your sample and then you drive home.
I mean, it's on the way to the beach. So it's like when we go to the beach, it's like you have to stop at Tillamook. So
makes sense. So hopefully everyone's ready for their book club with cheese.
We should have
Anyway.
like what is it called? Charcuterie?
A charcuterie. Love it. Love
Charcuterie.
It.
I'm fancy, guys.
I know how to say charcuterie.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. So I guess biggest takeaways would be like, be persistent, listen to your gut. Like if you want to put your book out there, you don't need the validity of a publisher. Like it's great if you can get one, but if you can't, like you can still publish your book.
There are lessons. I think like I would say to tack onto that for sure, everything that you're saying. And this is something that I would push and push and push and rephrase so it really gets in your head. But the other part of it, from personal experience, like we are our worst critics, but when you do see a huge mess up, when it does affect another person, give yourself grace and allow yourself to improve from it. Any sort of like self-criticism or external criticism, it hits really hard, especially on a big project like a book. And you can only grow, you know? So I could sit here and be like totally ashamed of this stuff. And I still feel it like it lives in there, but I've improved so much since then. And I've been able to help and like reach so many people who have expressed to me how much joy that my books have brought them. And that part is what we really need to hold on to, and giving ourselves permission to improve and to, you know, learn from, maybe we'll call them mistakes. Maybe we'll call them lack of knowledge. Maybe we'll call it stubbornness, you know? So there's
I really needed to hear that.
And just being open.
Yeah. I had a major typo in one of my books and I was working with a publisher. So we all somehow missed it. And I have videos of myself hysterically crying.
Oh, yeah.
Like the world is ending, and looking back, I'm like, that might've been a bit of an overreaction, but in the moment I was like, this is it. This is how my career dies.
Right.
And literally 2 people mentioned it to me out of everyone who bought this part of this project. You know, I feel like I don't need to throw myself that under the bus. But 2 people were like, oh, did you notice this typo? Well, yes, I noticed. They were like, that's kind of funny. Like, especially because it was for 2020. So it's kind of like, yeah, we all screwed up there.
Oh yeah. Big time.
It was a planner. It was a 2020 planner, and there was some major holidays on the wrong days.
Oh no.
Yeah. Maybe Christmas was on the wrong day.
No, you're not. Really?
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay. That's amazing.
No, I was very emotional, and
sure.
It was really upsetting. And like, at the end of the day, like,
I'm sorry.
It feels even really vulnerable now.
Yeah, totally.
But like, there was like 5 people who looked at this book. I think something maybe shifted. I don't know like what happened, but somehow it went unnoticed. And I felt so much shame. And like, looking back, I'm like, what happened there? You know? And so I think, if everyone can take a little lesson that like everybody makes mistakes, and like, you can always print or reprint. I mean, not with planners, really. They're kind of garbage at that point. But anyway, okay. So the reason that we wanted to talk today was because Katie and I are working with Peggy. We have the Artist to Author Summit coming up in January. And we have over 30 speakers, industry professionals, artists who are authors, coming to talk with us about their experience in the publishing world. So if you have a story that you want to tell, you're going to want to join us. We'll link to all that below, and you're going to want to see
the lineup, you guys. You're going to want to see the lineup. So check that out, because it is like exactly what we've always never knew we wanted and needed.
I'm fangirling about the lineup, and
I'm the
one who curated it. Like,
I know. No, you guys, I just want to tell you this. Like, we are industry experts, industry professionals, whatever you want to call us. But at the same time, the people who are aligned or much more further along than us, like, we were so giddy in the sense of like, who would be perfect? Like, who would be the perfect fit for this information that we want to give people if they're interested in book publishing? And there were a handful where we're like, well, we'll just reach out and see, and they are going to be a part of it. So check out the lineup, because you're going to be just like, excuse me, what? Yes, let's learn from these people.
Yeah. Your head's going to blow up, and then you're going to click the link, I don't know, subscribe button, and blow that.
You're going to smash the button.
You're going to smash the button. Smash it, everybody. And I guess thanks, Peggy, for coming. And then We're artists who mean business, and we are in this with you. We'll see you soon.